Hello guys, I'm Dan and welcome in this little review of TGR2 from Maxtact Paintball rifle. I've got this gun for about a year, so I decided it's time to do a solid review of my experience with it, which was so far so good, I would say. There were some issues, there were some good surprises, so let's start. TGR is produced by Maxtact. Previously it was sold also as a Honor Core or Scarab Arms, which was just resellers, and currently Maxtact is finally doing the whole distributions themselves, so you can find it only under the name Maxtact. It's a Taiwanese company, and the old TGR is based on good old spider mechanism. And the design of the gun is based a little bit on FN Scar. It's pretty this one. They even have a special edition with the same buttstock. I have a traditional buttstock. They sell the gun in several different colors and designs. So they have a German G36, I guess, rifles design. They have a Ronin version. They have a black versions. So there is a they have a CQB version, but this is pretty much this is TGR1, but it's exactly the same as TGR2 except the foregrip design and a little bit more similarity with, as I said, the FN Scar. The gun itself is pretty well made. Most of it is made from metal or aluminium. The bottom receiver is made from some polymer or something like that. As you can see, after a year it's a little bit scratched and stuff, but nothing I would be worried about. It's okay, it works, it didn't broke, it withstood a lot of abuse, as you can see. It's pretty well, I talked with James who is the owner and main designer of the gun, and he told me that the gun is manufactured with a pretty big or pretty low tolerances, so it should be very precise, and I can agree with that. The gun is really well made, everything is polished and detailed, so there's no clumsiness and bad feeling. Everything seems to be produced very well. As you can see, the design is quite. This is a cocking rod. It's ambidextrous. Magwell is made of plastic. They have their own proprietary magazines. They are very similar to Milsig magazines, and the gun actually can take most of the Milsig and RAP4 magazines with the head. It takes only round head magazines, but with a little modifications. If you are not afraid to modify it inside of the gun, you can even modify it to take square heads. The magazines themselves are pretty well made. I would say that they are one of the best magazines out there. I would say they are better than the Milsig magazines. Traditional design, spring. You need to turn it for a little while to spring to get to the position. They are 18 rounds. If you have a small paintballs, they can fit probably 19, and it's a shame because I think that with a little bit more efficiency on the inside of the design, it can take easily 19 rounds as well, but well, somebody decided not. The mags are quite, the plastic may look a little bit soft or brittle, but actually after a year I can say that it's pretty sturdy. It fell down to the concrete several times. It withstood pretty much everything, so if it falls down, the mag will not break, the balls inside will break more likely. They have this little thing down there that helps you to take the mags out of the vest or something. And overall, they don't get stuck, they don't misfeed, The spring is quite solid. I have zero problems with them over the year. I have 9 magazines and I had zero problems. Only issue I got when the sand got inside, when I was scrolling in the sand, so they were dirty on the inside, and during that you only need to, or after that you only need to wash them with water. Just pour the water inside, clean them. You don't even have to take them apart. And if you still have problems, just spray a little bit of silicone on the inside, then it's okay. So the Macs are quite great, I would say, and I really like them. The gun itself, as I said, is based on the spider mechanism, so it's good old, proven, simple, idiot-proof design. It's very easy to take apart. There are only 3 pins that you can take out, and this air block goes out, and you can take the bolt and the hammer out. So there are 2 holes. One is barrel and the bolt, and one is hammer and power valve. The only issues I've initially got with the gun are some leaking, and mostly it's thanks to bad O-rings, so it was very easy to fix it. If I will take the gun apart, I can show you how it looks on the inside. So this is the main spring, and this is a air block. So the only issue, the biggest issue with the gun, that is already solved. This is Mark II. This is, so they if you can see it, they mark the guns. This is Mark II Mod 1. I believe there is a already Mark III Mod 3 or something like that. And the difference is that they have a different new air block that is better machined. It's shorter, it's more precise, so all the issues were solved. And the issue I and several other people I know had was these 2 pins. They provide air to the gun, to those 2 holes, and since it's attached to the gun and held just by 2 pins, it wobbles a little bit, and if you have a sling attached to it, it wobbles even more. So these 2 little O-rings usually get damaged by the wobbling, and then it starts leaking. We solved it, me and my friends, by adding 2 little bit bigger O-rings at the bottom of the pin, which basically solves the issue. And of course, after, I don't know, several games or sometime, you have to replace the O-rings, because as usual you need to replace all the O-rings at some time. So if it starts leaking here, replace the O-rings and place additional one at the bottom, and the issue is solved. With the new air block, which is smaller, lighter, shorter, and much better machine crafted, or it's probably solved. I think that's the reason why they produced the new air block, and so this is a non-issue for Mark III owners. For Mark II owners, it's easy solved by 2 O-rings. The buttstock is pretty traditional, the same as on every other gun. It can hold 13, even 17 CI or air tanks, so it could be quite longer. And when you take the gun apart, this is typical spider mechanism, hammer and bolt. This is not the bolt that is used in, it's not the default bolt, it's my own design. It has it's my attempt to have a anti-chop. It still has some issues, so I wouldn't sell it, but basically it's very similar. And the only other issue there was with the gun is that some of the bolts broke, which is not a small issue, but it was already solved as well. The problem was that this area was too thin, so it couldn't withstand all the movement and hits it got during the shooting. So sometimes, especially with the stronger springs, it broke here. Maxtact solved this already. They have new bolts where this area is much thicker, and so it will not break at all. They also have a new Delrin bolt, which also will not have this issue at all. So this problem should be already solved. But if you buy old Mark II model with old bolt, I would get prepared. The good thing is that Maxtact guys are very good with customer service, so every time I've got some problem, it was very fastly solved. They have a group on Facebook, and every time he asked them something, they answered immediately, and everyone who had the problem with the bolt immediately received replacement. So I would say I wouldn't be afraid of that. This is a bottom receiver. You can see that the gun is only semi-auto, so off and on, and you need to press the button. I have to say that I would prefer this part to be a little bit smaller, because the overall design of the gun is quite high, so it looks a little bit bulky. It doesn't make the gun heavier or something, but it's a little bit bulky compared for example with Tiberius T15. But in the end, I don't care. I like the design, I like the FN Scar design, so I get used to it, and in the real world it looks much better than on the photographs. Again, this is made of some polymer, and after a year the issue with it is that it's scratched. You can easily buy a replacement if it's broken, but I don't think it's going to be broken anytime soon. It's quite thick and solid. Then you have this, basically, if you unscrew some of those screws, you will get the whole engine of the gun out, and basically there's a power valve and a needle and seal cap and all that stuff. Initially my problem with the gun when I received it, that it was leaking through here. The issue was just the O-ring on the power valve. If you don't play with this screw or anything, you have to take out the mechanism, which are basically 3 pieces, and cap seal, power valve, and some other tube, I don't know what's the name, and replace the O-rings on that. Even a very small scratch could cause it leaking, and the replacement O-rings should be included with the gun. The good thing is there are only 2 sizes, basically 3 with the air block O-rings, but there are only 2 sizes of O-rings. This size on the hammer and the same size on the power bolt, on the bolt. The O-rings on the bolt are just to make it a little bit more efficient. It cannot leak through the bolt. I guess it cannot leak through the hammer, so every time it leaks, it's here, and you need to replace the O-rings here or on the air block. And basically that's the only maintenance you will get. The mechanism is very simple, so I wouldn't say that anything else could get broken or damaged. So basically, if it leaks, change the O-rings and that's it. I don't think that anything could get broken or damaged in any other way. As you can see, it's very precise. It's also like almost too sharp. There is a window to see if there is a ball loaded in the chamber, or if it's broken. The TGR2 has 2 windows, TGR1 has only 1 window. That's one of the differences. The wrist rails are all metal, so pretty solid and precise. You can, by unscrewing this, you can remove this cocking handle and place it there if you are left-handed, and as I said, you can modify the internals to take mil-6 square head max by basically sewing off those 2 little curves. So basically then it will take mil-6 curves. There are people who did it and it works, so I would say it's a safe thing to do. The magazine will still probably fit inside if you do it. The traditional Maxtact magazine will still fit inside. You can see it works this way. I have a Trigicon replica red dot sight on it, an Armson barrel. The barrels are A5, so it will take any A5 barrel out there. It's floating. The barrel you get with TGR1 is only 9 inches. It has a amplifying muzzle, so it really sounds extremely loud. Even with low velocity it sounds extremely loud with the amplifier. It's not that loud with this barrel, which is I think 13 or 14 inch rifled Armson barrel. Armson barrels are quite good, I would say. Maxtact started to produce their own barrels that are also rifled and which have adjustable diameter of the rifling, which is quite interesting thing. I think the rifling is made of Delrin, and there's a kind of an O-ring by which you can increase the pressure of the rifling on the ball and the diameter of the barrel, which is quite interesting. They're also, as I said, they're also producing Delrin bolt called RS, which is a little bit lighter than the original bolt, so it should be a little bit more efficient. Efficiency is actually one of the biggest advantages of this gun. For this small tank, it can shoot around 170 and more rounds, which is, I would say, one of the best, if not the best, efficiency out there, and which is great. And it can do it with this. I think it can do it even with this red spring, which will give you velocity around 300 FPS, 290 or 300. Consistency of the gun, which is a very important thing for the accuracy, vertical accuracy at least, is okay for semi-auto mechanical spider based gun. I would say that with the spring I got something around in between 285 to 295, so 10 FPS difference. It could be better. I have a TM15, which is electronic low pressure gun based on mini invert, so it's a pretty good mechanism, and the consistency there is much better. It's like 5 at most, but it's one of the best guns out there, so 10 is not that bad as well. The thing is that you can call it disadvantage. I don't think it's that big of a problem. You can't adjust velocity by some screw or something like on other guns. You need to replace the spring. You will get a spring set with the gun, which has 4 different springs with different colors. This is red, this is the strongest, and basically the strongest one will give you 300 FPS and the weakest one will give you, I don't know, 260. I haven't tried it. And the only way is to remove the air block, change the spring, and then that's how you change the velocity. I don't see it as a problem. I don't change my velocity that often. If it shoots well, I like it to stay the way it is, but some people may consider it to be a problem. And the other problem is that some people, I think it was with Mark 1 mostly, had problems with too low velocity. So Mark 1 models had an issue to shoot more than 260, 250, some of them, for some strange reason, I don't know why. So if you want to increase the velocity, nothing will help you actually. The heavier bolt is useless. You can hardly fit a stronger, longer spring inside. This one is already fits. It's very hard to fit it in there. It's too strong. So the only chance is to modify the internals of the gun, basically to increase the airflow inside, which is possible, and I will not tell you how because you don't need it. So overall, there's several gun manufacturers. I think that this one is one of the more reliable and stupid-proof designs. You need only very little maintenance. There's very little things that can go wrong, and if they go wrong, it's quite easy to repair it or fix it. The gun is a little bit on the heavier side. It's all metal design. It's a little bit bulkier than, for example, T15, so it's a little bit more heavier, but I would say that the weight is very similar or the same as a real FN Scar. So for me, that's a good thing. It's very similar to the real steel. The overall feel and shooting with the gun is quite good. My friends also liked it, so I don't have any issue at all here. As I said, it's very efficient. The magazines are working, so even at very long games where you can, like, if there's a milsim game where you have to be outside the whole day without the access to some background where you can fix or repair stuff, basically you can take few O-rings with you and you should be okay. There's very little possibility that something will go wrong and you will be left without your weapon in the field. So that's something I like. I like the design. I like the approach of Maxtact. They are trying to do new stuff. Their barrels, for example, are very original. I talked with the guys from Maxtact and they told me that they are preparing several very interesting things, so I like them for that too. I like how the gun is manufactured. It's really solid. So if you ask me, I really would recommend it. I know several people who have T15s and they have some issues with them. Things were breaking in the inside as well. Well, it happened with TGR as well, but with the new models it's already fixed. I hope that it's fixed with T15s as well, but I still see some issues with it. Sometimes there's this square O-ring and all that stuff. I originally had, like 10 years ago, I had one of the first Magfed guns, Milsig K series, which was absolute piece of junk. I couldn't make it work, and in the end the bolt flew out of my barrel and I just returned it. And so I am not very Milsig friendly, and basically if you consider TGR, T15, Milsig, then you can buy a DAM, which is very expensive, and RAP4. I don't have any experience with RAP4, but my friends who have the new 468 are quite happy with it. The new Helix Max and their lock bolt mechanism is quite interesting, but it's also much more expensive, or not much more, it's more expensive than TGR, so I think this is a pretty good choice and good compromise between reliability, price and overall functions. So pretty good choice for everyone who liked this design and who also wants to have something very simple, because the spider mechanism is very simple. After a year of play, I'm quite happy. It works. I am able to shoot other people with it quite well. The magazines are working. I have zero issues with them, seriously. I have like 9 of them. The only issue probably is that if you load this large version of the magazine with the first strikes, the last 3 or something may not feed. So for that reason they have a shorter version for just 12 rounds. It should be more useful for first strike usage. I got one included with the gun. That's it. you see the difference. It's worth saying that the magazines will fit, they are about the same size as Milsic magazines, I would say, so they will fit any pockets or vests that can take 50 or 100 round paintball tube or two Milsic magazines. If you have this plastic fast muck things, you will have to modify them because this thing releases the balls. So if you fit the magazine like that inside, the balls will be released, so you need to modify the inside of the fast muck to be able to put this inside, but otherwise it fits pretty well. It's about the same design as the Milsic ones. Well, that's about it. I think it's a good gun, and you can see it during the combat in the video after that. Bye!
Je nahoře vlevo, left side.
Hej, musíme jít, kurva, běžte nějak.
Musíme jít ale se mnou, vole, když já jsem tam šel.
Jo? Jo. Bacha, vlevo za sloupem! Vlevo za sloupem! Ty ho...
Mám dalšího. Mám, třetího. Jsou mrtví.
Jdeme.
Jsou mrtví.
Jdeme, všichni!
Jsou mrtví, jdeme, běžte.
Pojď.
Držím rok. Už nemůžu, jo? Jo?
Já mám otevřený hršek, tak jo, tady. Co? Ale bomba je...
Tak pojď se mnou, Kyče, pojď.
Ne? Bacha na hlavu,
Pojďte se aspoň.
Dobrý. Tak běžte. Postupujte, běžte. Záda kraje.
Hele, tady vypadá to zatím čistý, Kyče. Vypadá to čistý. Co? Tak jdem, pojď dál.
No, počkej, tady by měli být další.
Jdem. Pravá dobrý.